You know, one of my favorite things to do is fish brush piles, and you know, any lake that's got docks on it, a lot of the dock owners actually put brush in so they can, you know, fish right off the dock and maybe catch some fish. And a good rule of thumb is just kind of look at the dock, see if it's got any rod holders. You see this particular dock here has got 2 rod holders actually on the end of it. That's a pretty good indication. There's probably gonna be something sunk out here, probably gonna be a brush pile. Or you could just ride with your Lowrances and look and see if you can see the brush pile. But the jig is definitely my #1 bait. This is just a 1/2 ounce structure jig, which is designed to come through brush because of the V-shaped head, the viper-shaped head, and it kind of rolls through the brush and don't get hung up good. Got a Strike King Rage bug on it. One of the simplest tips I can give you about brush fishing, but it's also probably the most important tip, is always keep your rod coming up. Don't drag sideways like maybe you see some guys doing with a Carolina rig, or maybe even a big worm out on a ledge or something. You always want to lift your rod straight up, and that's gonna let that bait come over that brush. You're still gonna get hung a little bit, but you're not gonna get hung near as much as you would if you pulled the bait sideways. I'm basically gonna throw it out. I'm letting it go to the bottom or whatever. You typically want to throw past the brush. You know, if you throw dead in and it goes right down in the brush, you know, that's a good way to get hung too. But if you can throw past the brush, kind of work your way up. See how I'm coming straight up with my rod? Now I'm at a limb right now. I can feel that limb. So if I come straight up, just kind of work it. See, come straight up. I just came over that limb and just fell back down. And that's when you're gonna get a lot of bites. You can feel it. You'll feel it kind of mushy, pulling up, and then you'll hit something hard. And that's when you actually hit the limb. Keep pulling straight up. When you feel it come over the limb, it goes from hard back to mushy, then drop your slack and let it fall back in the brush pile. You basically just crawl it through. I'm coming up on another piece of brush here, straight up. You know, kind of the last thing is when the fish bites. When he bites in the brush pile, you want to jerk pretty fast, because you don't want to give him time to swim up underneath another limb or something. So as soon as he bites, I like to use a high-speed reel. This is a Daiwa tool of 7/3-1. That way, as soon as he bites in the brush pile, I'm winding down fast and I'm jerking so I can get him coming out of that brush pile before he gets hung, and get him in the live well and get him to the weigh-in. You know, you may catch multiple fish when you pull up to a brush pile that's pretty big like this one right here, but you know, one key deal is a small brush pile, as if it's just one little tree, you know, set beside a pole on a dock. Them little pieces of brush, one little tree, that's where a lot of times I catch a big fish. You ain't gonna catch multiple fish, but you may catch one big fish. So there's 2 different types of brush piles. There's a real big one, and then there's real isolated trees. Typically, the little isolated ones, you're gonna catch bigger fish. The big brush piles, you still catch some big fish, but you can catch multiple fish out of them. And one reason the fish actually stay in the brush and they hang around the stumps and the laydowns and stuff, because the brim like to hang around there. And bait fish, crappie, bass actually eat crappie. You know, when I crappie fish, I have a lot of bass come up and eat the crappie while I'm fighting them. So there'll be a lot of brim, there'll be a lot of crappie in these brush piles, there'll be a lot of algae, plankton for the bait fish to eat. It's just a good ambush point, whether it's a stump, a laydown, standing timber, brush pile, for a bass to lay underneath there. And when that specific forage comes by that he wants, whether it's a brim, crappie, or bait fish, he can pounce on it and get back in the brush pile, crush it up, enjoy his meal.